Straight out of the textbook of asymmetric warfare, North Korea's 1,000-plus hackers have allegedly succeeded in breaching the South Korean Defense Ministry's data center, stealing 235 gigabytes of military secrets. It's the equivalent of some 15 million pages of documents and includes classified plans jointly drawn by the United States and South Korea. These contingencies include a surprise attack to assassinate North Korean leader Kim Jong Un and other important figures, according to South Korean lawmaker Rhee Cheol-hee of the ruling Democratic Party of Korea. Rhee, a member of Parliament's Defense Committee, could not be reached for comment, but his office said he was quoted correctly. In this video, Defense Updates analyzes the event and the implications. Let's get started.
Number 5.
When North Korean hackers tried to steal $1 billion from the New York Federal Reserve last year, only a spelling error stopped them. They were digitally looting an account of the Bangladesh Central Bank when bankers grew suspicious about a withdrawal request that had misspelled foundation as fandation. Even so, Kim Jong Un's minions still got away with $81 million in that heist. Then, only sheer luck enabled a 22-year-old British hacker to defuse the biggest North Korean cyber attack to date, a ransomware attack last May that failed to generate much cash but brought down hundreds of thousands of computers across dozens of countries and briefly crippled Britain's National Health Service. Their track record is mixed, but North Korea's army of more than 6,000 hackers is undeniably persistent and undeniably improving, according to American and British security officials who have traced these attacks and others back to the north. For decades, Iran and North Korea have shared missile technology, and American intelligence agencies have long sought evidence of secret cooperation in the nuclear arena. In cyber domain, the Iranians taught the North Koreans basics of cyber espionage. In 2012, Iran's hackers targeted Saudi Aramco, Saudi Arabia's state-owned oil company. That August, Iranian hackers flipped a kill switch at precisely 11:08 a.m., unleashing a simple wiper virus onto 30,000 Aramco computers and 10,000 servers that would destroy data and replace it with a partial image of a burning American flag. The damage was tremendous. 7 months later, during joint military exercises between American and South Korean forces, North Korean hackers operating from computers inside China deployed a very similar cyber weapon against the computer networks at 3 major South Korean banks and South Korea's 2 largest broadcasters. Like Iran's Aramco attacks, the North Korean attacks on South Korean targets used wiping malware to eradicate data and paralyze their business operations. It was a copycat operation.
Number 4.
South Korea's military follows a rule that mandates separating its computers connected to the internet and the military intranet, yet a ridiculous mistake of keeping one computer plugged into both for more than a year allowed the North Koreans to break in, according to the Wall Street Journal. There's evidence Pyongyang has planted so-called digital sleeper cells in the South's critical infrastructure and its defense ministry that could be activated to paralyze power supplies and military command and control networks.
Number 3.
The issue is not only that the surprise factor has been spoiled, but also the ease with which Pyongyang managed to steal such vital information may very well limit the quantity and quality of intelligence Washington shares with Seoul. War plans in general contain the number of troops to deploy, the types of weapons to be used, and the areas to be targeted. By forcing the Allies to go back to the drawing board, Kim Jong Un, the North Korean leader, in effect has gained a vital military edge. Yang Mo-jin, a professor at the University of North Korean Studies in Seoul, said, U.S. officials may question how they can exchange information with South Korea if its cyber center is hacked like this. Park Won-kan, a professor of international relations at Handong Global University in Pohang, said the breach definitely will negatively impact the U.S.-South Korean relationship, which is already fragile over the North's nuclear provocations.
Number 2.
The vulnerability is related to the extent that South Koreans are connected to the internet. As long as the whole society is dependent on the internet, there will always be a vulnerability to cyber attacks, said Professor Ken Katani of Nihon University's College of Risk Management in Tokyo. He added, "You can raise the security level of the military and government all you want, but if private sector infrastructure is targeted, they will not be able to withstand it." North Korean society, on the other hand, remains largely unconnected and as such has an edge, Katani said. In the cyber world, the attacker is always stronger.
Number 1.
Amid all the attention on Pyongyang's progress in developing a nuclear weapon capable of striking the continental United States, the North Koreans have also quietly developed a cyber program that's stealing hundreds of millions of dollars and proving capable of unleashing global havoc. Unlike its weapons tests, which have led to international sanctions, the North's cyber strikes have faced almost no pushback or punishment, even as the regime is already using its hacking capabilities for actual attacks against its adversaries in the West. And just as Western analysts once scoffed at the potential of the North's nuclear program, so did experts dismiss its cyber potential, only to now acknowledge that hacking is an almost perfect weapon for Pyongyang that's isolated and has little to lose. The country's primitive infrastructure is far less vulnerable to cyber retaliation, and North Korean hackers operate outside the country. Sanction offers no useful response since a raft of sanctions is already imposed. And Mr. Kim's advisors are betting that no one will respond to a cyber attack with a military attack for fear of a catastrophic escalation between North and South Korea. Intelligence officials now estimate that North Korea reaps hundreds of millions of dollars a year from ransomware, digital bank heists, online video game cracking, and more recently, hacks of South Korean Bitcoin exchanges. One former British intelligence chief estimates the take from its cyber heists may bring the North as much as $1 billion a year, or a third of the value of the nation's exports. Inside the National Security Agency, just a few years after analysts had written off Pyongyang as a low-grade threat, there was suddenly a new appreciation that the country was figuring out cyber just as it had figured out nuclear weapons, test by test. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.